Land Rover, the legendary, rugged, go-anywhere vehicle. Whether powering over a rocky trail, through the bush of Kenya, or the mud of Madagascar, you knew it would pull you through. But the Land Rover's engineers were not satisfied. They set out to design a whole new class of vehicle, one which would combine the extraordinary toughness and capability of the Land Rover with the comfort and amenities of a European luxury sedan. A vehicle that would slog through the worst of it and take the pounding punishment of off-road driving without punishing the driver. And most importantly, a vehicle that could be as enjoyable to drive on the pavement as off. They designed the Range Rover, the vehicle that gives you off-road driving the rather exceptional way. The Range Rover is an unbeatably accomplished off-road vehicle capable of taking you almost anywhere in comfort and style. In order to take advantage of these almost limitless possibilities, however, you should become familiar with its proper operation and drive it intelligently. Your main source of information is your owner's manual. Read it thoroughly. We're going to illustrate some of the techniques explained in the owner's manual and help you to enjoy off-road driving with your Range Rover. The techniques are quite straightforward and simple to learn, and some of them apply to all off-road driving situations. For example, know the terrain you'll be traveling across, and if you're unsure about it, be prepared to get out and walk it on foot first. Always keep a firm grip on the steering wheel and keep your thumbs clear of the spokes. And when traveling over an obstruction, try to maximize traction by keeping 3 wheels on firm ground at all times. Your satisfaction in driving your Range Rover will increase as you master these techniques. Although off-road conditions are constantly changing, with experience, you should know the best way to handle any given situation. Use your common sense, and don't drive in terrain or conditions which don't feel comfortable to you. And remember, drive only in areas approved for off-road vehicles, and obey all rules and regulations. The Range Rover has a permanent 4-wheel drive system. Unlike systems in which you have to select 4-wheel drive when required, Range Rover gives you the benefits and security of 4-wheel drive at all times, both on pavement and off. 2 controls operate the system: a familiar 4-speed automatic transmission lever and a second lever that operates a 2-speed transfer case. This arrangement allows the 4-speed transmission to operate in low or high range, providing a total of 8 forward and 2 reverse gears. When you're driving on a road, the transfer case lever is normally in the high range position. The lever can stay in the high range position when you go off the pavement, if the surface is smooth and hard. But if the terrain starts getting really rough, it's best to shift down to low range. Here's how. Let up on the accelerator pedal and let the vehicle slow down to below 5 miles per hour. And while the vehicle is still moving, shift the automatic transmission into neutral. Move the transfer case lever forward to low, then shift back into gear. Shifting up to high range is accomplished in the same manner. The Range Rover's sophisticated power steering system is designed to meet the demands of tough off-road travel as well as highway driving. And while its steering damper is designed to reduce shocks, it's always good off-road technique to keep your thumbs clear of the spokes, so that a severe kickback will not cause them to be struck. Grip the wheel firmly, but keep your thumbs out of the center area. The most sensible way to deal with an obstacle in your path is to avoid it if possible, especially if it could kick up and strike the vehicle if driven over. However, if you can't go around, Range Rover's high ground clearance will enable you to drive over obstacles that some other vehicles wouldn't clear. The area of greatest ground clearance is under the driver's side of the vehicle, since the differentials are located under the passenger's side. Think about having the obstacle pass under you, the driver, to take advantage of this clearance. If you're unsure of the height of the obstacle, line up the vehicle so that both front and rear wheels will go directly on top of it, and drive over slowly and carefully. Ease the front wheel down, using your brakes if necessary, and don't forget to use the same technique for the rear wheel too. If you must cross a depression or ditch, approach it diagonally, so that as you cross, you'll always have 3 wheels outside the ditch for better traction. Unlike lesser 4-wheel drive vehicles, the Range Rover has extremely long suspension travel. This helps the wheels to remain in contact with the ground as you work your way through difficult situations. Muddy ruts require a different technique. Keep up your momentum and follow the ruts. If your wheels start to lose traction, ease off the throttle a bit until they regain their grip. If you're not sure what the terrain ahead of you is like, stop the vehicle, get out, and walk it on foot. Remember, engage the parking brake and shift into park before leaving the vehicle. Before driving through water, check to see that the bottom is firm and that the water is not deeper than 20 inches or about to the top of the wheel rim. Use 3rd gear in low range and keep the speed down to help keep the engine compartment dry. Upon leaving any water, apply light pressure to the brakes to help dry them out. Driving in loose sand sometimes requires some special preparation. The air pressure in your tires should be reduced to distribute the weight of the vehicle over a larger surface area. This helps the vehicle float over the sand rather than dig in. Check your owner's manual for information on minimum tire pressures. To drive in sand, in most situations, put the vehicle into low range and shift down to 3rd gear. The key to driving in loose sand is to maintain a steady pace and keep all movements smooth and even. Quick acceleration or braking may cause the wheels to lose traction or dig into the sand. As you approach a hill, maintain your momentum to keep the vehicle from bogging down in the sand. If you have to stop on sand, try to choose a place that's as firm and level as possible. And in tidal areas, don't park too close to the water. Remember, when driving on sand, don't choose too low a gear. And don't forget to re-inflate your tires as soon as you get back on the pavement. Although the Range Rover is designed for the rough, you don't have to rough it, for it has all the amenities you'd expect from a fine touring sedan. Power assists on seats, door locks and mirrors mean you need only lift a finger to control your environment. And power windows with a one-touch feature for the driver, heated windscreen, variable intermittent wipers, and optional sunroof add those extra touches you'd expect from Range Rover. And of course, a fine stereo radio cassette system provides entertainment whenever desired. Range Rover's abilities off-road are enhanced by keeping the vehicle's front and rear overhangs to a minimum. However, it's always wise in potentially difficult situations to be sure these overhangs clear the terrain. If in doubt, slowly ease up to the terrain in question and be sure that no part of the front of the vehicle touches the terrain before the front wheels do, and that the rear of the vehicle clears completely too. For a steep downhill stretch, the proper technique is to shift to first gear, low range. Engine retardation will ease you down the hill slowly and in control. To avoid wheel lockup, don't use heavy braking during the descent. Off-road vehicles are usually taller than average cars, and it's important to know their boundaries in tight situations. Be aware of the physical size of the vehicle and pay attention to overhead obstacles such as this leaning tree. If in doubt, give yourself plenty of clearance. Sometimes you just can't avoid an obstacle and have to go over it. With something like a log, the correct technique is to shift down to first gear and approach it diagonally. Ease over it slowly, one wheel at a time, with each wheel turned perpendicular to the log. This lets the crossing tire get the best possible grip, while the other three wheels remain on the ground, providing traction. Use your brakes to ease each wheel down and keep the vehicle under control. When you become accustomed to driving the vehicle and start dealing with difficult off-road terrain, you'll find you wouldn't want to be there in anything but a Range Rover. Whether you use your Range Rover in your profession, for the pleasure of just getting away from it all and relaxing, or the excitement and fun of family recreation, you'll have the pleasure of driving the most practical luxury vehicle in the world. Range Rover, a rather exceptional vehicle.